Welcome to MTTV's In the Kitchen with David Bradley. Today, all the recipes that we're going to show today are all about getting ready for the big game. Whether it be a big football game or basketball game, these treats will definitely seal the deal for you. What we're going to start with first is chicken wings. And later on, we're going to be making a honey barbecue sauce, homemade. And it'll go perfect with these wings. So what I'm doing is I've got some frozen chicken wings, and I'm just going to put them on a sheet pan. And if you'll notice, I'm putting them on top of a cooling rack, and this will allow the chicken to get crispy all the way around, and it'll be just scrumptious. So I'm going to fill up this rack here. Try to use all of our chicken that we have in this bag here, because we've got several hungry people that's going to eat here, so it'll be really good. All right, should end up with about 15 to 18 pieces, something like that. All right, now if your chicken wings were thawed, you would bake these a little bit shorter in time. But for these wings, we're going to put them in a preheated oven, 400 degrees, for about an hour, and probably 45 minutes if they were already thawed. Put them in there. All right. And we'll let them get to cooking. When we come back, we'll be ready to make our spinach artichoke dip. All right, now we're going to get started on our spinach artichoke dip. This is one of my most favorite recipes that I have. The spinach, the artichokes, the mayonnaise, the Parmesan cheese, the Monterey Jack cheeses all blended together and bubbly. Just to go so good on crackers or pita bread or tortilla chips, just whatever you want to dip in it, it's good. So to get started, I took just a 10-ounce box of spinach. I just threw it in the microwave to thaw it, and then I completely drain it in a colander. And you got to kind of squeeze the spinach against the colander a little bit to make sure you get all the water out of it. So that's the remnants of our spinach right there. Next thing is we're going to take a can of artichoke hearts, and I drained them. And we're going to get all those out here. I said I drained them, but there's still a little bit of juice in there, but these are a little bit liquidy. So basically we're just going to kind of chop these up. And these are really good and tender. Looking really good. Now if you wanted to put this through a blender, you know, it all depends on your taste. If you want to put these through a blender to make them a little bit more liquefied, that'd be fine. But we're just going to cut them up here with our knife, and then we'll kind of try to dice them up before we actually put them in. This is a really good game day snack. It's just a big hit with everyone. Everyone loves it. You pair this with honey barbecue chicken wings. Talk about good. Alright, so we've got those. I'm just going to take my knife, just kind of dice that up just a little bit more fine. Remember the rule of thumb with your knife. If you're sitting here kind of chopping up, hold the end of the knife and just use the handle and lift up. This tip never really leaves the board. All right, so that looks good. So we're going to add that to our spinach. Alright. Now, when we go ahead and we've got 2 big blocks, 8-ounce blocks of grated Monterey Jack cheese, and of course hand grade. Remember my rule on cheese too. Don't buy that pre-shredded stuff. I promise you it's better if you grate it, hand grate it, fresh. It is so good, so much better for you. I was stopped in the grocery store the other day by one of our viewers, and they came up to me and they were like, "You're right about hand grading. We had never done that before, and you're absolutely right. It makes it so much better. It's so much more cheesier." So I don't say a whole lot of good things a lot, but listen to me on the cheese. So we're going to continue to grade this until we get both of these blocks graded up, and when we come back we'll prepare our dish with our spinach artichoke dip. All right, we've got our cheese all grated up now, and before I put the cheese in, I'm kind of going to mix our artichokes and our spinach up. I'll tell you right now, I don't have a big enough bowl, so let me grab one here. I'll just pour this in here. Alright, now I got a big enough bowl. And now we're going to add all of our good cheeses to that. And we're going to reserve about a half a cup of cheese that we grated, because we're going to put it on the top before we put it in the oven. And we'll put in a cup of grated Parmesan. Kind of work that in. And then we're going to put in a cup of mayonnaise. Use good mayonnaise. Don't buy the cheapest mayonnaise you can find. Buy a good brand. Mayonnaise is one of those things that you can't skimp on. So we're getting all this worked in. Oh, that's looking so good. And of course, all of this cheese in here, when you put it in the oven, is going to melt. And it's going to make it even more ooey gooey. All right. So, we're going to put this into a better casserole. Now this dish here, and you'll probably know just as soon as you saw it, you're probably like, "Oh, that's an old dish." And it is. This was my grandmother Joe Perry's bacon dish. I kind of inherited it, and it's very special to me. And every time that I cook with any of her bakeware or pots or pans that I have, just makes me smile because it makes me think of her. And for those of you that didn't know her, she was as funny as a monkey. She loved to laugh, loved to joke, and she loved her family very much. And I'll tell you, I was definitely blessed with great grandparents. My grandfather's name was Everett, and I remember when we would be there, because when I was little he still worked. He worked in road construction, and when I was little, she would make dinner, and none of us were allowed to eat until he got home and he got his plate and sat down. No one did. And my mother told me that it was like that even when they were growing up. No one ate first, except for, he always ate first, ahead of everybody. And Mamaw took real good care of Papaw, and it was really nice. And all right, so if you have some bakeware and stuff, you know what I'm saying. When you get it out, you think all the good memories that you've had sitting around a table somewhere. Just feels really good. So now we're going to take our leftover cheese that we saved, and we're going to just sprinkle it on top. And of course I'm sprinkling everything but the dish. That's all right. Kind of just spread that out a little bit. That'll get us some little ooey gooiness on top. And this one is ready to go. We'll put it in a preheated oven, 350 degrees, for around 20 minutes till it's hot and bubbly and absolutely delicious. And depending on your oven, maybe even 15 minutes, give or take. But you'll know when it's done. So when we come back, we're going to start making our sauce for our honey barbecue chicken wings. All right, now it's time to make our homemade sauce for our chicken wings. And what we're going to start with is 1/3 cup of white vinegar. We're going to turn our heat on about medium right now. I'll put in a cup of good tomato ketchup. And then we're going to put in about 1/4 cup of honey. And I'm just going to eyeball this. I actually got this honey locally from a really good friend of mine. And I always try to support the local folks if you can. And then 1/4 cup of sorghum. And I actually run out of sorghum. And if you want to know what's really cool, Townsend actually has a website and you can order it. So I ordered me some sorghum. They sent it to me. It's awesome. Of course, Townsend's is here every year for the Sorghum Festival. They've been coming here, I think, near almost the whole time we've been doing the festival. All right. So we've got that all mixed up here. And now we're going to add some spices. I'm going to add 1/4 teaspoon of chili powder, 1/4 teaspoon of paprika, and I'm using smoked paprika, some salt and pepper, and 1/2 teaspoon of each, then 1/4 teaspoon each of onion powder, garlic powder, cayenne pepper for a little kick, and then a teaspoon of liquid smoke. And that's what's going to give our sauce that smoky flavor. So just going to stir all this in. Gosh, you wouldn't believe how good this smells already. And the heat has barely hit it. So what we're going to do is we're going to let this continue to cook. We're going to let it kind of get bubbly, and then we're going to let it simmer for about 10 to 15 minutes. And then we'll be ready to run our wings through it. It'll be oh so good. All right, our chicken wings are ready. And so is our spinach and artichoke dip. We'll get it out here in just a moment. Leave this on. And what I'm going to do is we're going to take our chicken pieces, our wings, and we're going to put them in our bowl. And then we're going to pour our sauce over them and spin them, just like they do in the restaurants. Well, not that I actually know that's how they do it, but it's how I imagine they do it. But our chicken is perfectly done. It's nice and crispy. Looks so good. All right. Leave that there. And I'm going to go ahead and remove our spinach and artichoke dip as well, because it is ready. Gosh, look at that. That looks absolutely marvelous. So we'll let that sit for just a moment. So our sauce has been simmering away. It's nice and thick now. Just perfect to do a good coating on this sauce. Or on the, I'm sorry, on the chicken wings. So we're just going to pour all of our sauce into the bowl. And then we're just going to take our tongs and we're going to move our chicken wings all around that sauce. And this sauce smells heavenly. For real. This little plate here. Plate them up. Oh. I'll tell you what. If Donnie McKenzie is watching this show right now, his lips are smacking. My dad and Donnie has probably ate every kind of chicken known to man, from here to Timbuktu. I remember they'd come in from a ball game, and the next morning Dad asked me to clean out his car, and there wasn't dirt or anything, and it was all chicken crumbs. Tickled me plumb half to death. Oh, this looks so good. And that is our honey barbecue chicken wings. And we gotta have some chips to go with our spinach and artichoke dip, which I can't wait any longer. I've got, look at there. That looks so good. Cheese is stringy. Wow. That is so good. That'll be a big hit, I promise you. And now, let's try one of these honey barbecue wings. Oh. That sauce is perfect. The chicken is perfectly done and juicy, yet crispy on the edges. So good. And I've got it all over me. When we come back, after I finish off this plate of wings, when we come back, I want to make a little dessert appetizer called apple fritters. All right, for our last recipe today, we're going to make a favorite of mine, apple fritters. Now this is good for game day, it's good for breakfast, it's good for any time, actually. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to cut up a red apple, and you can use any type of apple that you like. I don't want you to think that you're limited, because you're not. And just going to chop the apple up here. And get a small dice on it. Right. Something like that. There. Now this recipe is really reminiscent of the apple fritter recipe that they have at the Apple Barn. I know every time we go to Tennessee, we have breakfast there. That's the one thing I can't wait to hit the table. The apple fritters and the apple muffins that they have. They're so good. So I came home after a Tennessee trip this past fall, and I was like, I don't know the recipe that they use, but I thought, I'm going to just kind of throw some stuff together and see if I can make them. And it turned out fantastic. So anyway, we have our apple diced up. And to that, we're going to add it to 2 cups of self-rising flour and a 1/4 cup of white sugar. Just put that in. Make sure we get all that scrumptious apple in there. All right. Now it's time for our wet ingredients. And I've got a little egg here. I'm kind of going to beat it up before we add it to our milk. And I've got 3/4 of a cup of milk. And to that, I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. And I'm just mixing here with a fork. Very slowly add 4 tablespoons of melted butter. Now you don't want to add it too quickly because you don't want scrambled eggs. You just want the butter flavor. This will be so good. All right. So now we're going to add that to our dry ingredients. And we'll grab a spoon here and we'll stir it all together. And basically what we're looking for is we're going to make a dough. It just takes a minute to work it together. And this dough will be a little sticky, as you can see. That's exactly what we want. Just kind of stir it around. We make sure all of that flour is completely combined. All right. So now we're waiting on our oil to reach 350 degrees, which should be here in just a moment. When we come back, we'll be dipping out our apples, the fritters, and we're going to deep fry them, and then we're going to eat. All right. Our oil is at the right temperature. And just use a small cookie scoop, just like this. We're going to add this dough to it. Oh, love to hear that sizzle. All right. We're going to just, we'll put 2 or 3 in. We'll allow them to brown. And when we come back, we'll be taking these out. So as you can see, our apple fritters are browning very nicely. Oh, these are so good. All right, go ahead and take those out. They're nice and brown. See those big chunks of apples in them? Nothing wrong with that. All right, and I'm just letting these drain on a sheet pan lined with paper towel. Go ahead and put these in. This batter makes about 30 fritters, give or take a couple. And I usually do about 4 at a time. That way they're kind of more manageable that way. Now, kind of as a special treat to my party guest, I've actually got some applesauce from the Apple Barn that I picked up a big jar of it when we were on vacation back in the fall. So this is going to really taste like the real deal. So we're going to continue to let these fry and get golden brown. I usually flip them over about, once they're really good and brown on this back side, I'll flip them over, just like that. And we'll go ahead and we'll continue to fry these up. And then we'll be ready to indulge in some good apple fritters. So we've got our apple fritters fried up, golden brown, and excuse me, to top that off, we're going to put on some powdered sugar. Might as well make them a little bit extra good. All right, now I'm going to plate these up. We're going to indulge. Wow, that looks so good. So very good. Get this stuff out of the way and we're going to eat. All right. I've got my apple butter from the Apple Barn. You can use any apple butter you like. You see the chunks of apple. That fried dough. Yum. Crunchy and sweet. Absolutely perfect. Great way to end a great game day. If you would like recipes to any of the recipes you've seen on today's show, go to our get online, go to mrtc.com, click on MTTV, and click our recipes link. They'll also be on our Mountain Telephone's Facebook page, so be sure to check it out. I hope that you'll make these recipes part of your game day traditions, and thank you for tuning in. And we also want to thank, again, Bank of the Mountains for welcoming us here to the Martha Stacey Conference Center kitchen. It's a beautiful facility. If you have questions about renting out the Martha Stacey Center, give Bank of the Mountains a call. Thank you from Mountain Telephone and from me, David Bradley. Have a great day.